The nation is in shock after the White House correspondent's dinner attacker broke his silence, suggesting the incident wasn't a lone wolf act. Cole Thomas Allen, the 31-year-old suspect accused of attempting to target President Donald Trump at the Washington Hilton, is now speaking from federal custody. But what changes the direction of the case is this. During his first interrogation, Allen named a current White House staffer. It was just after 8:30 on a Saturday evening. President Donald Trump and First Lady Melania Trump were seated on the stage of the cavernous Washington Hilton ballroom, playfully engaging with the evening's entertainer, mentalist Oz Perlman. Approximately 2,600 attendees filled the room. Senior administration officials like Vice President J.D. Vance, Secretary of State Marco Rubio, Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth, FBI Director Kash Patel, lawmakers, journalists, MAGA influencers, and their guests. It was the first White House Correspondents' Dinner that Trump had attended as a sitting president. He had declined the invitation every single year of his first term, and again in 2025. Then, just outside the ballroom doors, a man sprinted through a security checkpoint with a shotgun in hand, exchanging fire with Secret Service agents who chased behind him. That man was Cole Thomas Allen. CNN anchor Wolf Blitzer, who was outside the main ballroom at the time, reported being only a few feet away from the gunman when the shots were fired. Blitzer described the weapon as a very serious weapon and said he heard at least 6 shots before the gunman was tackled. Inside the ballroom, silence took hold, punctuated by occasional gasps. Some dinner attendees ducked behind chairs and tables. Others, reporters among them, pulled out their phones. Cabinet members scattered at tables across the tightly packed ballroom were hurried from the room by their own security details, who barked into their communication devices as they rushed from the banquet hall. One could be heard declaring shots fired into his radio. Officers combed the room, in some instances mounting chairs, to call out the names of officials they were looking to remove, before finding them and plucking them from the crowd. J.D. Vance, not Trump, was taken first from the stage. Trump himself was surrounded by Secret Service agents about 10 seconds after the shots were fired. He later recalled the first moment he knew something was wrong. "I heard a noise and sort of thought it was a tray. I thought it was a tray going down," Trump said from the White House briefing room that same night. But it wasn't Melania's reaction that told the president something was wrong that night. It was the opposite. She was saying, "That's a bad noise." Trump recalled, the Secret Service stopped the suspect from entering the ballroom, and he was taken into custody at the scene. One law enforcement officer was struck in a bullet-resistant vest, but is expected to recover. The gunman himself sustained a single knee injury from the tackle. He was not hit by gunfire. Within minutes, Trump posted on Truth Social, "The shooter has been apprehended, and I have recommended that we let the show go on, but will entirely be guided by law enforcement." He would later be told by law enforcement that everyone needed to leave. The dinner was over, and the man who tried to end it was already in a hospital bed, not from a bullet wound, but from a busted knee. The question now shifted from what happened to who did this and why. And the answer, it turns out, was already sitting in the inboxes of Cole Allen's family. Cole Thomas Allen, 31, lived in the Los Angeles suburb of Torrance, California. On paper, his life read like a story of quiet intellectual achievement. He graduated from the California Institute of Technology, Caltech, in 2017 with a bachelor's degree in mechanical engineering. In 2025, he completed a master's degree in computer science at California State University, Dominguez Hills. He described himself on LinkedIn as a game developer, engineer, scientist, and teacher. He was a part-time teacher at C2 Education, a college test prep and counseling company, for over 6 years. A Facebook post from December 2024 seems to show Allen winning Teacher of the Month at C2's Torrance office. Parents of students tutored by Cole Allen described him as highly intelligent, shy, and socially reclusive. His arrest left the community searching for answers. A former Caltech professor said he was shocked. A computer science professor at Cal State recalled Allen as a strong student who sat in the front row and was highly engaged in class. Members of the Caltech Christian Fellowship remembered him as quiet and committed to his faith. He was definitely a strong believer in evangelical Christianity at the time that I knew him. One former member, Elizabeth Terlinden, told the New York Times, Allen's father, Thomas Allen, was listed as an elder at Grace United Reformed Church in Torrance, an evangelical congregation. After the shooting, the church's leadership page and social media accounts were pulled down. The church did not respond to requests for comment underneath this veneer of normalcy. However, there were signals. Allen's sister, a Maryland resident, told investigators that her brother had a tendency to make radical statements and had spoken about wanting to take action over issues he believed were affecting the country. She also told the Secret Service and Montgomery County Police that he had referred to a plan to do something to fix what he saw as the problems with today's world. On a now-deleted Bluesky account, Allen shared posts denouncing Trump's policies on Iran, Ukraine, and ICE. He was registered to vote with no party preference, though federal campaign finance records show he contributed $25 to a Democratic Party PAC in support of Kamala Harris for president in 2024. The White House also said Allen had ties to a left-wing group called the Wide Awakes and had attended a No Kings anti-Trump protest in California. Allen regularly went to a shooting range to train with his firearms, something his sister confirmed to investigators. And then there were the weapons themselves. He purchased a shotgun around August 17, 2025, from a dealer in California. He bought the pistol from a different California dealer on October 6, 2023. His sister told investigators that he had lawfully acquired the firearms and stored them at their parents' Torrance residence without their knowledge. The picture being painted was of a man who had been preparing methodically, quietly, and for a long time. But his breaking of silence, the moment he laid it all bare, came in the form of an email timed to arrive in his family's inboxes right as he began his attack. About 10 minutes before the shooting, Allen sent an email to members of his family and a former employer, explaining the actions he was about to take. It was a 1,052-word document, not handwritten, not spontaneous, but scheduled to send at a specific time. According to court documents, it appears Allen had written the email sometime before the attack and scheduled it to send just before 8:40 p.m., the exact time the assault began. The writings ran more than 1,000 words and read as a rambling, deeply personal message, opening almost jarringly with a casual greeting before shifting into apologies to family members, co-workers, fellow travelers, and even strangers he feared could be caught in the violence. The note moved between confession, grievance, and farewell, with Allen thanking people in his life even as he sought to explain the attack. He signed it, Cole Cold Force Friendly Federal Assassin Allen. The core of the document was his justification. Allen claimed his actions were driven by what he described as a moral obligation tied to his identity as an American citizen. He said he intended to target administration officials, prioritized from highest ranking to lowest. But with one notable exception, Allen explicitly exempted FBI Director Kash Patel from his target list. The manifesto didn't name Trump directly, but it left no ambiguity about whom his grievances targeted. He also wrote about his rules of engagement. According to those rules, Secret Service agents were only targets, if necessary, and to be incapacitated non-lethally if possible. Hotel security, Capitol Police, National Guard, hotel employees, and guests were categorized as non-targets, writing that he hoped it wouldn't come to that. He also said he chose buckshot rather than slugs to minimize penetration through walls. The document veered between political anger, religious justifications, and rebuttals to imagined critics, at times reading as if he were arguing with detractors in real time. He structured a significant portion of the manifesto around hypothetical objections and his responses. Throughout the email, his tone was matter of fact and at times ironic. He closed the manifesto with a description of his emotional state. He said he wanted to throw up. He said he wanted to cry for all the things he would never do, for the people whose trust he was about to betray. He described rage about the administration's actions. And then in what might be the most surreal line in the entire document, the California Teacher of the Month told his students to stay in school. Allen's brother, alarmed by the email he received, called police in New London, Connecticut. To alert them that same Saturday night, the New London Police Department confirmed they were contacted at 10:49 p.m. Roughly 2 hours after the shooting had already occurred. By then, Allen was already in custody. The scheduled send had done its job. It broke his silence, but only after it was too late for anyone to stop him. How did Cole Allen get so close? According to the FBI affidavit, Allen traveled cross-country by train, departing from the Los Angeles area on April 21, 2026, and arriving in Chicago 2 days later, before continuing to Washington, D.C., where he arrived April 24. He had booked a hotel room at the Washington Hilton. the same hotel hosting the dinner for 3 nights, from Friday to Sunday. He checked in at around 3 p.m. on Friday and remained there overnight. In early March, President Trump had publicly announced he would attend the dinner. Days later, on or around April 6th, Allen made his reservation at the Washington Hilton. The timeline suggests that once Trump confirmed his attendance, Allen began to act. On the evening of the dinner, authorities believe Allen attempted to breach the ballroom after leaving his hotel room with a duffel bag containing multiple weapons and used a stairwell out of public view to avoid being seen. He apparently descended 10 flights of stairs at the Washington Hilton. When he arrived near the security perimeter, eyewitness Helen Mabus, a volunteer ticket checker, saw a man in the corridor, holding what she quickly realized was a rifle. He either unfolded a part of the gun or pieced it together. Mabus recounted, "It became longer before my eyes." Before she could react, he tore off toward the security checkpoint about 40 feet away. The manifesto itself contained a striking observation about security. Allen expressed his own astonishment at the perceived lack of security. He wrote, "What the hell is the Secret Service doing? No damn security, not in transport, not in the hotel, not in the event." This passage is especially alarming because it came from the attacker himself, essentially documenting the vulnerability in real time. CBS News noted that because the Washington Hilton was a functioning hotel, with numerous public spaces during the dinner, only the areas where the dinner took place were secured by the Secret Service. Allen, as a hotel guest, moved freely through the building, right up until the moment he reached the secured perimeter. Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche insisted that the system worked, saying law enforcement and the Secret Service protected all of us. He emphasized that Allen barely got past the perimeter and that this was something that should be applauded. He also later clarified, this man was a floor above the ballroom, with hundreds of federal agents between him and the President of the United States. Law enforcement did not fail, but the incident ignited a firestorm of questions. This was the second apparent presidential assassination attempt at the Washington Hilton after the attempted assassination of Ronald Reagan in 1981. Reagan was shot in March 1981 outside the same hotel as he left an event for the AFL-CIO. History, it seemed, was rhyming in the most disturbing way. 3 days after the shooting, the FBI still hadn't found the fragment that pierced the Secret Service officer's bulletproof vest, leaving investigators unable to say for certain whether Allen actually shot the officer or how the officer was injured. White House Chief of Staff Susie Wiles requested a meeting with the Secret Service director and DHS officials about both the incident and how to harden security for Trump for a series of large events planned in the coming weeks. Trump himself wasted no time using the incident to bolster his argument for the White House ballroom, a massive event space he had been fighting to build. During his briefing, Trump said the venue was not a particularly secure building and used the shooting as support for the existence of the White House ballroom, the National Trust for Historic Preservation, which had been locked in a legal battle with Trump over the project, came under renewed pressure from the administration to end the litigation in light of the shooting. On Monday, April 27, 2026, Cole Thomas Allen made his first court appearance in D.C. federal court. He wore a blue prison jumpsuit and was flanked by U.S. Marshals. As he walked in, Allen scanned the public gallery, where 40 to 50 members of the press and public sat to observe the proceedings. He answered rudimentary questions from the judge, his full name, age, level of education, in a soft voice. He answered, "No, Your Honor." Allen did not enter a plea. His court-appointed public defender, Tezira Abe, stated. The defense indicated it may seek to contest detention. Allen was charged with 3 criminal counts: attempted assassination of the President of the United States, transportation of a firearm and ammunition in interstate commerce with intent to commit a felony, and discharge of a firearm during a crime of violence. The attempted assassination charge alone carries a sentence of up to life in prison. U.S. Attorney Jeanine Pirro confirmed that Allen could face additional charges as the investigation unfolds. At a DOJ press conference, Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche said, Cole Allen now faces the full weight of federal justice. FBI Director Kash Patel added, the evidence is abundantly clear. Cole Thomas Allen traveled to Washington, D.C. for the purpose of assassinating President Trump and targeting members of the Trump administration. Patel, the one official Allen specifically spared in his manifesto, stood at that podium delivering those words. Pirro stated Allen had a shotgun, a .38 semi-automatic pistol, At least 3 knives and all kinds of paraphernalia. The political fallout was swift and explosive. The administration blamed the state of political violence on what they called systemic demonization, specifically citing late-night host Jimmy Kimmel. 3 days before the shooting, Kimmel had joked on his show while pretending to host the dinner, addressing Melania Trump with, "You have a glow like an expectant widow." Both Donald and Melania Trump accused Kimmel of inciting violence and called for him to be fired from ABC. Kimmel responded, saying the joke was made days before the incident, was based around the couple's age difference, and that he was against any form of gun violence. Former President Barack Obama weighed in, urging Americans to reject the idea that violence has any place in our democracy. Obama's post was viewed nearly 52 million times and sparked its own controversy. Conservatives pointed to the manifesto and argued the motive to harm Trump was clear, while Obama's statement spoke of unknown motives. Conspiracy theories also rapidly circulated. Some questioned whether the entire event was staged. A journalist from the Daily Beast who was in the room wrote that even they, in the seconds after the shots, questioned whether it was real. NBC News analyzed the spread of misinformation, noting that conspiracy theories and a knee-jerk skepticism of current events have become the default response for a growing number of Americans. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt called the conspiracy theories crazy nonsense. Trump called them sick. When Trump sat down with CBS's 60 Minutes on Sunday, he said he wasn't worried when the gunshots rang out. "I understand life. We live in a crazy world," he told Norah O'Donnell. He confirmed he had read the manifesto. He called the dinner an event that was supposed to be an evening of unity between the press and both sides of the political aisle. And he said he wanted it to be rescheduled within 30 days with more security and a bigger perimeter. This was the third reported assassination attempt on Donald Trump since 2024, following the July 2024 attempt near Butler, Pennsylvania, and the September 2024 attempt at his golf club in West Palm Beach, Florida. Cole Thomas Allen, the Caltech graduate, the teacher of the month, the quiet kid who sat in the front row of his computer science classes, broke his silence with a manifesto that mixed apologies with a hit list, Bible verses with buckshot calculations, and rage with a surreal farewell. He is now detained in federal custody, facing the possibility of spending the rest of his life in prison. The dinner he tried to destroy will be rescheduled. The president he tried to reach was never touched, and the silence that has now fallen over Cole Allen's life, the silence of a federal holding cell, the silence of a public defender fielding no comments, is likely the only kind he will know for a very long time.